And then here we have aggression. That's another way of resolving a dispute. What's aggression? Attack. Yeah. Yeah. So I call that the use of force. Now, what's interesting here and here is that if this worked, then it would be really nice and it would feel really fair, and we'd say this is a really good system, it's a good way of doing things. Well, I'll try to talk to you. If we can't talk, we may go to, or if it gets really heated, you know, we'll get someone who's not so heated to do it for us. So it should work, but it doesn't. And the reason it doesn't work is two things. One, well, let's do this one first. Because what happens if I can afford a better lawyer than you can? Is that not now aggression? Is that not now the use of force? What happens if I'm interacting with a person who has the power to enforce? So a police officer doing stop and search on a 14-year-old may, I mean, I know they get reasonable training about doing stop and search. I know that they're not trained to be aggressive, because we've done quite a lot of work with the police. But if you ultimately have the power to enforce, the perception has to be that this is aggression. The perception has to be that. And if we look at the arbitration side of it, you know, I still say, God, we could do better than this. As a group of people, we can do so much better than this. But if that's the best we can manage for now, okay, let's go with it. But the problem is we have developed an arbitration mentality. It's spilled out of the courtroom. It's spilled out of Judge Judy's little domain. And we have now all become mini arbitrators of everything we see in front of us. And that, for me, is the contamination or the virus that's happening in our schools. And we need to get away from this idea that I judge everything I see in front of me. So the simple example is you have two 5-year-olds in a playground and they have a fight, okay? And they start doing this. Well, you know, why wouldn't they do this? Because we're showing it to them. They're only doing what they've been shown, what they've seen in every cartoon that they're sat in front of. And an adult will go up to those two 5-year-olds and say, right, what's happened? And Johnny will say, Miss, she took the ball off me, blah, blah, blah. And, right, what happened? Miss, he cussed my mum. And then this person with no mediation skills whatsoever, who has probably fairly stressed out because there's lots of time pressures in schools, to be on timetable, so you've got to get from here to here. We'll go, right, okay, fine. You do that, off to class, that's it, end of story. Now, what I find interesting about that is that, firstly, you're not allowing people the space to have their fight. We're not teaching children how to have that fight in the most compassionate way. And there's an even more powerful and dangerous message. You are not capable. You cannot be trusted to have a fight with another person and to care about the other person in that process. So what we're going to do is we don't trust you, you're not capable, you're not able at this age or any age to do that, so we're going to do it for you. And what we've actually done, and I can honestly tell you, over the 15 years I've been doing this work in the real, marginalised communities, real poverty, places of real poverty, is we have created a society where every time something goes wrong, they pick up the phone, they want the police, the housing officer, the social worker. It's someone else's problem to sort it out. Someone else's problem. Every time. It's really interesting. We go through quite something in our process to get people to own that it's their dispute and we're not fixing it for them. It's quite a transformational process. So the last way we have of resolving a dispute is mediation. And to do this is just part of restorative justice. We actually have to change our mindset. We actually have to get out of this. We actually have to start admitting that these things sit in aggression when there are hierarchical structures and people that hold authority. So what the kids are actually doing, what I've experienced is that schools are trying to put RJ into schools while they still hold that as their baseline card. At any time, I can default to this. Right? So what the kids are doing is they're just testing the boundaries. That's all they're doing. It's really interesting and fascinating to see it. They're so for me, if we're really going to create learning communities where everybody feels that they have a voice, then we're actually going to have to let go of some of this. We're going to have to actually let go of the or else language. And for me, there's something huge about how you're going to let go of or else language when you perceive that it's worked. It's a huge trust. It's a huge jump in trust.